Hello, beautiful souls. Thank you so much for joining me today. This month, I'm talking about ways to care for Mother Earth. As you know, Earth Day is later this month, so what better time to do that? Before I get into it, a little reminder, if you're watching me on YouTube, please subscribe so you can get notifications about new videos. Give me a thumbs up if you like this video. I would really appreciate it. If you're watching me on Facebook, make sure you like my page and like this post. Thanks so much for your support. Now moving on, conservation is a topic for the week, and conservation, what that means is actually being mindful about using things, using our resources, using products. So this week, if you can try to be a little bit more mindful about using things, that would be really helpful to Mother Earth and our environment in general. Today, I'll be talking about food waste. Food waste is such a huge problem here in the United States and elsewhere in the world, really. And hopefully the tips I give you today will help you to get some new ideas about ways that you can make a difference in being more mindful about what you consume. So let's talk about restaurants first. Whether you're dining in or taking out or getting delivery, whatever you're doing, there are some things you can do to help cut down on waste. First of all, can we talk about how large the portions always seem to be? Oh my gosh, you can order a plate of something and it's ridiculous. I was in a restaurant a couple months ago and I didn't pay enough attention to what was coming out, and there were these two huge chicken breasts as, you know, with the food, the entree, and I was really upset because I couldn't eat them both and I didn't really want to. You know, I was going to be out in a shopping area and going to see a movie. So I knew that I couldn't save it safely. And I was really disappointed because that was a waste. If I had thought about it, I would have asked the server, you know, what exactly is this? How many are there? And I would have said, you know, just bring me one chicken breast. I don't really need both of them. And even if, you know, they don't knock something off the bill, it's not a big deal because really it's not wasteful. So, you know, I'm only using one. I was only using one anyway. And technically it costs us more if you waste that chicken breast. So be mindful about your ordering, know what you're ordering. So here's another tip. Sometimes I order from the kids menu, and I know that sounds funny, but a lot of the times the kids menu is just made up of smaller versions of the adult options. Whether you're in a fancy restaurant or a bar and grill or wherever you are, if you get like a gourmet burger or a good burger, it's going to be a half a pound. Some places it's like 2/3 a pound, or I've even seen 3/4 of a pound. And that is a lot of meat. When all I really want is a 1/4 pound burger, that's exactly what's on the kids menu. And they might, you know, say, oh, well, we can't charge you the kids price because it's only for 12 and under. I'm okay with that. I'd rather pay for what I'm going to consume than waste what I've already paid for. Be mindful of extras. Sometimes places will bring out extra sauces. Tell them you don't need it. You know, you only need one thing of dressing with your salad. Tell them just to bring one. And if you change your mind, have them bring a second one. Maybe you can skip the salad because you're feeling a little naughty. I'm sure you get my point. Just make sure that you're ordering what you know you're going to be consuming. And that just starts with knowing exactly what they're going to be bringing you. Here's another tip. Bring your own container. That way, if you have leftovers, you can just slide them on in there. I've done this in the past and gotten my share of weird looks from servers, but a lot of them really do get it. And kind of along that same note, know what they're bringing to the table. Ask them to not bring a straw with your water or your beverage. You don't really need a straw, and by not using the plastic, you're helping to save our oceans. Now, if you decide to do takeout or drive-through or delivery, make sure you tell them that you don't need the extra utensils or any extra sauce packets. I know if I go through a drive-through and I decide I want a burger, I tell them I only want one ketchup packet. If I don't tell them that, they give me a whole big huge handful and throw it in the bag. And I don't want those things sitting around my kitchen. I'm not going to use them. It's just a waste. Now let's talk about eating at home and being more mindful about how we consume food at home. My first tip is about planning for additional meals. Whether you live by yourself or with a family, try and make a big meal and then save the leftovers for later. I personally don't like to eat the same thing day after day after day. So when I make a big meal, I'll have one portion that evening and then maybe save another portion for the next day for lunch. But then the rest of it, I'll put in individual portions and stick them in my freezer to be used within the next couple weeks or the next couple months. This is a really good way to keep variety in your meals. And also down the line, I know if I'm feeling lazy and I don't want to make a big old meal, I've got some chili in my freezer that I can just thaw and use, and I'm a happy camper. Speaking of freezing, I have another tip for you about this. The other day I made a delicious pork roast, and I had some fresh thyme. You know, like one of those small packets you can get in the grocery store's herb section. And I only used half of the thyme for the recipe. I still had the rest of the thyme left and I didn't want to waste it. So what I ended up doing was taking that fresh thyme and just mixing a little bit of chicken stock with it and then sticking it in the freezer. So now when I make my delicious chicken soup, I have something I can just throw in the pot and it's good to go. Anytime you have any kind of scraps like that, just think about what you might be able to do to freeze them and use them for later. But don't forget to use them. Otherwise, your freezer is going to start piling up with all these little things. Now, here's probably my best tip. At least it's my favorite. Purchase only what you need. Be mindful of what you're buying at the grocery store. A really good way to do this is to make full use of your store's bulk section. Now, you definitely have to be concerned about contamination. So I do want to leave that little disclaimer. If this is something that concerns you, maybe shopping in the bulk section isn't for you. But I noticed a couple days ago when I was in Sprouts, they have things already pre-packaged that you can just pull out of bulk. So that does cut down on any possible contamination. Something else that I really love about Sprouts specifically is their spices. They actually have bulk spices. It's hard to find because it's on an end cap and it's not really very obvious, but they have so many different things there. So you don't have to buy a whole jar of something if you're just using it for one recipe. You can go there and just buy exactly the amount you need. I really hope these tips were helpful to you. I have a lot more ideas about caring for Mother Earth, so stay tuned and we'll see you next time.